Now we want to bring on John and Johnny. Let's talk Long Island needs a drag strip.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very similar names. We have John Consoli
Yes.
and John Casali.
Yes.
So John, it's a great movement. We're going to two-part segment here. The first part I want to get into is let's talk about the history of drag racing in Long Island, where it's been years back, and what's going on in the history of drag racing in Long Island, because I know there has been a rich history of drag racing in Long Island.
Yeah, drag racing and racing in particular has been a big part of Long Island, starting back in the 1800s with the Vanderbilt Motor Speedway, which is now Vanderbilt Motor Parkway. Then along came Freeport Raceway, and then Islip Speedway, and then you had National Speedway, and along with West Hampton Dragway, which was the first quarter-mile drag strip built on the whole East Coast for drag racing. Fortunately, now that they're all closed, and the last racetrack that is on Long Island is Riverhead Speedway, which just happens to be a quarter-mile oval racetrack. So we're trying to bring back a quarter-mile drag strip and a motorsports park back to Long Island, where everything started, the grassroots of racing for Long Island.
That's awesome. And John, let's talk about why drag racing is so popular and why you have so many members on your Facebook page. So let's talk about the popularity of drag racing.
Yeah, it's extremely popular right now. The amount of people on Long Island that are just into the hobby, into the sport, it's overwhelming. The issue right now that we're having is that we don't, like John said, we don't have a facility out here on the island. So we're forced to go to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, other states where we have to go and enjoy the hobby. But I mean, you see shows on television. There was a huge event down in Georgia that had record-breaking attendance numbers last weekend. So the exposure is there. It's just now we want to bring that here on Long Island, and the motorsports hobby is so rich out here on Long Island, where weekly car shows, events, cruise nights, things like that. Just the support is overwhelming, and like I said, on our Facebook page, we have just on Facebook 14,000 people that support this idea and want to see a track back on Long Island. So it makes sense, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
I would say by not having a racetrack on Long Island, it's created a tremendous void. Let's talk about that something that people enjoy so much, not having it here in Long Island is a big void. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, like John said, the void is there's over 14,000 people that we have right now that want to race, and there is an abundance of racers that still have their cars in the garage, old timers, and that want to race. Okay, we have kids that are growing up. They can start racing from 6 years old and using junior dragsters till you're 90, and it really doesn't matter what kind of car you race. You can race mom's minivan to dad's, pro mod, whatever you want to race. So the void is there. It's a family-orientated sport, and racing is a family-orientated sport. We miss that. We need that on Long Island.
Let's talk about passion. John, how did you get into drag racing, and let's talk about the average drag racing fan. Mm-hmm. Why are they so passionate? Why do they love it so much?
I mean, me personally, I've always been into cars ever since I was younger. Just, I have a truck that I'm working on that I'm putting an LS1 motor in right now that hoping if we have a track out here to take it down the track, but I also have a new Camaro. So I've always been enriched in that philosophy of just, motorsports and car customizing and things like that. John has, he got me more into the drag racing aspect of things, but it's just an adrenaline rush. I mean, I've never personally gone down a track, but I've been a crew chief for John, and just, flying down the track in 8-9 seconds flat, it's an adrenaline rush just to watch, and I know he loves it, and that's what we're trying to bring back out here. You see a lot of younger people, older people, that it's really just an adrenaline rush, and that's what we want to bring back out here. And it's wild, it really is.
Johnny, in the next segment, we're going to talk about your movement and some of the things you've accomplished and the popularity, but I can see from your followers there is a tremendous movement, and it's just growing.
Yes, it's tremendous. It's like a forest fire that won't get put out, and people are not sitting back, and they're taking action, and they went to their local government officials, and our voices are heard. So they know that we want this badly.
All right. Long Island needs a drag strip. That's part one. In part 2, we'll talk about your movement and all the things you're doing with your movement and leading the way to having Long Island having a drag strip. So.